The Sunni Path. Miscellaneous information, separatists, heretical madhabs. There are two major groups of Muslims. One of them is the group termed Ahl Sunnat. Muslims in this major group, which is the only right and correct group, and which is called the madhab of Ahl Sunnat, have parted into four different madhabs. Muslims in these four groups hold the same tenets of belief, the same iman. There is no difference between them in Islam. All of them hold the beliefs of the Ahl Sunnah. The second major group consists of people who do not hold the same tenets of belief as that of the Sunni group, and called people of bid'ah, i.e. the La Madhabi. Examples of these aberrant groups are Shiites and Wahhabis, people who follow such heretics as Ibn Taymiyyah and Jamal ad-Din Afghani and Muhammad Abdu and Sayyid Qutb and Maududi, and people who call themselves Tablighi Jamaat and Wahhabis are in the aberrant major group called Ahl Bidat. Wahhabis call themselves members of the fifth madhab. This claim of theirs is not true. There is no such thing as a fifth madhab. Today there is no way other than learning Islamic knowledge from the Ilm al-Hal books of one of these four madhabs. Everyone chooses the madhab that is easy for them to follow. They read its books and learn it. They do everything compatibly with it, follow it, and become a member of it, i.e. taqlid. Because it is easy for a person to learn what he hears and sees from his parents, a Muslim usually belongs to the madhab of his parents. There being four madhabs instead of being one is a convenience for Muslims. It is permissible to leave one madhab and join another, yet it will take years to study and learn the new one, and the work done for learning the former one will be of no use and may even cause confusion while doing many things. It's by no means permissible to leave one madhab because one dislikes it. For Islamic scholars said that it will be disbelief or kufr to dislike the Salaf Salihin or to say that they were ignorant. Recently, some people like Maududi of Pakistan and Sayyid Qutb and Rashid Rida of Egypt have appeared. They and their misguided readers say that the four madhabs should be united and that Islam should be made easy by selecting and gathering the rukhsas of the four madhabs. They defend this idea with their short minds and deficient knowledge. A glance over their books will show at once the fact that they know nothing about tafsir, hadith, usul or fiqh, and that they reveal their ignorance through their unsound logic and false writings. Consider the following. Number 1. Scholars of the four madhabs say the mulfiq's deduction is incorrect, i.e., an act of worship performed by following more than one madhab at the same time will be batil or invalid, not sahih, when this performance is not sahih in any one of the madhabs. A person who does not obey the unanimity of the scholars of the four madhabs, rahmatullahi ta'ala alayhim ajma'in, will not be in any madhab. He will be a la madhabi. Deeds of such a la madhabi person will not be compatible with Islam. They will be worthless. He will have made a game of Islam. Number 2. Confining Muslims and their ibadat to a single way will make Islam more difficult. Allah Ta'ala and His Prophet ﷺ would have declared everything clearly if they wished it so, and everything would be done by following only that one way. But pitying human creatures, Allah Ta'ala and His Messenger ﷺ did not declare everything clearly. Various madhabs came out as a result of the explanations of the scholars of the Ahl Sunnah, rahmatullahi ta'ala alayhim ajma'in. When a person encounters some difficulty, he chooses an easy way in his own madhab. In case of greater difficulty, he follows another madhab and does that act easily. There would be no such convenience in case there were only one madhab. The La Madhabi who think that they are collecting the rukhsas to establish a single system of easy ways are, in actual fact, inventing hardships for Muslims, probably without being aware of what they are doing. Number 3. An attempt to do one part of an act of worship according to one madhab and another part according to another madhab will mean to mistrust the knowledge of the imam of the former madhab. As is written above, it will be kufr to say that the Salaf Salihin, rahmatullahi ta'ala alayhim ajma'in, were ignorant. History has witnessed many people who wanted to make changes in worship and who insulted the scholars of the Ahl Sunnah, rahmatullahi ta'ala alayhim ajma'in. It is obvious that the people who say it is necessary to select the rukhsas of the madhabs and to abolish the four madhabs cannot even correctly read or understand one page of the Aimat al-Madahib's books. For understanding the madhabs and the superiority of the a'imma, i.e. the imams or leaders of the four madhabs, requires being deeply learned. A person who is profoundly learned will not lead people to ruination by opening an ignorant and idiotic path. Believing the ignorant and heretical people who have emerged in the course of history leads one to perdition. Following the scholars of Ahl Sunnah, who have come in every century for 1400 years and who have been praised in hadith's guides to happiness, we too should hold fast to the right way of our ancestors, of those pious, pure Muslims, of those martyrs who sacrificed their lives for the name of Allah Ta'ala and for the promulgation of Islam. And we should not be misguided by the poisonous, harmful articles of upstart reformers. Unfortunately, however, the poisonous ideas of Abduh, the chief of the Cairo Masonic Lodge, have recently spread in the Jami al-Azhar in Egypt. Thus, in Egypt there have appeared religion reformers, such as Rashid Rida, Mustafa al-Maraghi, rector of the Jami al-Azhar, Abdul Majid al-Salim, Mufti of Cairo, Mahmoud Ash-Shaltut, Tantawi al-Jawhari, Abdurazik Pasha, Zaki al-Mubarak, Farid al-Wajdi, Abbas Aqaid, Ahmad Amin, Dr. Taha Hussein Pasha, Qasim Amin, and Hassan al-Banna. Even sadder to say, as was done about their master Abduh, these people have been regarded as modern Muslim scholars, and their books have been translated into various languages. They have caused many ignorant religious men and young Muslims to slip out of the right way. The great Muslim scholar Sayyid Abdul Hakim al-Abrasi, rahmatullahi alayh, the Mujaddid of the 14th century of the Hijrah, said, Abduh, Mufti of Cairo, could not understand the greatness of the Islamic scholars. He sold himself to the enemies of Islam and finally became a Freemason and one of the ferocious disbelievers who have been demolishing Islam insidiously. People who rolled down into disbelief or bid'ah or heresy, like Abduh, always competed with one another in misleading also those young religious men who succeeded them. They pioneered the disasters which were foretold in the Hadith Sharif. Ruination of my ummah will come through the fajr, heretical men of religious authority. After Abduh's death in Egypt in 1323 Hijri, or 1905 of the Christian era, the novices whom he trained in Egypt did not stay idle. They published numerous harmful books which incurred manifestation of a divine curse and wrath. One of them is the book Muhawwarat by Rashid Rida. In this book he attacked, like his master, the four madhabs of the Ahl Sunnah, and thinking of the madhabs as idealistic differences and misrepresenting the methods and conditions of ijtihad as reactionary controversies, went so far into heresy as to say that they had broken Islamic unity. He simply made fun of millions of true Muslims who had been following one of the four madhabs for 1,000 years. He journeyed as far away from Islam as to search for the ways of meeting contemporary needs in changing of Islam. The only thing that is common among religion reformers is that each of them introduces himself as a real Muslim and an Islamic scholar of extensive knowledge who has comprehended real Islam and modern needs. As for the people who have read and understood Islamic books and who have been following in the footsteps of the scholars of the Ahl Sunnah, who were given the good news that they were Rasulullah's alayhi salam inheritors and who were praised in the Hadith Sharif, their time is the best of times, they describe those true and pious Muslims as mere vulgary thinking imitators. The reformers' declamations and articles show clearly that they know nothing of the rules of Islam or the teachings of fiqh. That is, they are devoid of religious knowledge and are grossly ignorant. In the hadiths, the highest people are the scholars who have iman. Religious scholars are Prophet's inheritors. The heart's knowledge is a secret of Allah Ta'ala's mysteries. The Islamic scholar's sleep is an ibadah. Revere the scholars of my ummah. They are the stars on the earth. Scholars will intercede on the day of judgment. The fuqaha are inestimable. It is an act of worship to be in their company. And an Islamic scholar among his disciples is like a prophet among his ummah. Does our Prophet ﷺ praise the Ahl Sunnah scholars of 1300 years or Abduh and his novices, the upstarts who sprang up later? The question is answered by our master, Rasulullah ﷺ, again. Each century will be worse than the century prior to it. This worsening will continue till doomsday, and as doomsday draws near, men of religious post will be more rotten, more putrid than putrefied donkey flesh. These hadiths are written in Mukhtasaru Tadhkirat al-Qurtubi. All Islamic scholars and thousands of awliya whom Rasulullah ﷺ praised and lauded unanimously say that the way which has been given the good news of salvation from hell is the way guided by those Islamic scholars who are called the Ahl Sunnat wal Jama'ah, and that those who are not Sunni will go to hell. They also say unanimously that talfiq, unification, i.e. selecting and gathering the ruqsas of the four madhabs and making up a single false madhab, is wrong and absurd. Will a reasonable person follow the way of the Ahl Sunnah, which has been praised unanimously by Islamic scholars, rahmatullahi ta'ala alayhim ajma'in, who have come throughout a millennium? Or will he believe the so-called cultured, progressive people who are unaware of Islam and who have sprung up within the last 100 years? Eminent and talkative ones of the 72 heretical groups, who the Hadith-i Sharif states will go to hell, have always attacked the scholars of Ahl Sunnah, rahmatullahi ta'ala alayhim ajma'in, and attempted to censure these blessed Muslims. Yet they have been disgraced with answers corroborated with ayats and hadiths. Seeing that they were unsuccessful with knowledge against the Ahl Sunnah, they embarked on raid and murder, killing thousands of Muslims in every century. On the other hand, Muslims of the four madhabs of the Ahl Sunnah have always loved one another and lived brotherly. Rasulullah ﷺ stated, Muslims parting into madhabs in matters of daily life is Allah Ta'ala's compassion for them. But such religion reformers as Rashid Rida, who was born in 1282 Hijri or 1865 of the Christian era, and died suddenly in Cairo in 1354 Hijri or 1935 of the Christian era, said that they would establish Islamic unity by uniting the four madhabs. On the other hand, our Prophet ﷺ commanded all Muslims throughout the world to unite on one single way of iman, belief, on the right way of his four khalifas. By working together, Islamic scholars, rahmatullahi ta'ala alayhim ajma'in, searched and studied the four khalifas' way of iman and transferred it into books. They named this unique way, which our Prophet had commanded, Ahl Sunnat wal Jama'ah. Muslims all over the world have to unite on this single way of the Ahl Sunnah. Those who wish for unity in Islam, if they are sincere in their words, should join this established union. By contrast, Freemasons and Zindiqs, who have been trying to demolish Islam insidiously, have always deceived Muslims with such false words as unity, and under the mask of their slogan, "We shall bring cooperation," they have broken the unity of Iman into pieces.